The evacuation ships launched in waves. Thousands of them, carrying 60 billion souls away from Earth toward distant galaxies. Each ship held humans and aliens together, their children playing in corridors while their parents watched their homeworld shrink behind them. On Earth, those who remained stood at observation windows and watched the sky fill with departing lights. It was beautiful in a way, like stars falling upward. Second thoughts, Admiral Bora asked Ji-hoon as they stood on the command deck. Hundreds, Ji-hoon admitted. But I'm not leaving. Around them, the Earth Defense Command hummed with activity. Screens showed the entity's approach. It had consumed the outer colonies, passed through the Kuiper Belt. Now it moved toward the planets themselves. Neptune disappeared first, then Uranus. Saturn's rings dissolved into quantum foam. Jupiter's gone, the tactical officer reported. Mars is next. In the deep laboratories, Taehyun and his team made final adjustments to the anchor. The device was massive, built into Earth's mantle, drawing power from the planet's core. Surrounding it, scientists from 50 species worked together, checking calculations that would have taken one civilization centuries to complete. We're ready, Taehyun said into his communicator. We can activate on your command. Negative, Bora replied. Captain Sun-hee's fleet needs to engage first. We need the entity fully committed before we spring the trap. In space, Captain Sun-hee An sat in the command chair of her flagship, the Defiant Hope. Around her, 300 ships waited. Human vessels, Trell cruisers, Vexthari fragments, ships from species that didn't have names humans could pronounce. All volunteers, all knowing they wouldn't survive the next hour. This is Captain Sun-hee to all vessels, she broadcast. Our job is simple. Get the entity's attention and keep it. The anchor needs 72 seconds to charge once it activates. We buy those seconds with our lives. Her second-in-command, a young pilot named Kresh, asked the question. Kresh was the Vexthari who had captured the human supply ship months ago, who had learned to understand humanity, who had chosen to fight beside them. Why are you smiling? Kresh asked. Lieutenant Daeho, now serving as Sun-hee's tactical officer, laughed. He was 89 years old and had stopped caring about regulations weeks ago. Because we're about to exist so hard that this thing will remember us forever. The entity emerged from behind Mars. It wasn't a creature. It was a space where reality ended. Looking at it hurt. It was absence given form. The end of things made visible. All ships, Sun-hee ordered. Engage. 300 ships charged at the impossible. They fired every weapon they had, missiles, energy beams, kinetic rounds, mass drivers, quantum torpedoes, things that shouldn't work as weapons but did. None of it hurt the entity. But it got its attention. The entity surged forward, reaching for them. Where it touched, ships simply stopped existing. But the fleet scattered, spreading out, forcing it to chase them. They were the matador, and the entity was the bull. They couldn't kill it. They just had to keep it angry. Sun-hee's ship dove toward the entity's edge. Space warped around them. Physics broke down. Her crew started seeing things that weren't there. Feeling emotions that belonged to other people. Time moved wrong. Just a little closer, Sun-hee whispered. Then she opened all channels. Hey, ugly. Over here! Her ship exploded in a flash of light that probably wasn't light at all. But she had bought 3 minutes. On Earth, Bora watched the sacrifice play out on her screens. Each ship that died bought more time, more seconds for the anchor to charge, more moments for the trap to prepare. Activate the anchor, she commanded. Now. Deep in the Earth, the device hummed to life. Power surged from the planet's core. Gravity began to behave strangely. Sol, the sun, started to pulse. Space around Earth rippled. The entity noticed. It surged toward Earth, abandoning the fleet. It could sense something wrong, something dangerous. For 72 seconds, Earth experienced every possible timeline simultaneously. People saw their lives branch into infinite possibilities. The quantum weapon didn't just affect space and time. It affected reality itself. Taehyun watched the readings climb. 60 seconds, 50, 40. The entity reached Earth's orbit. It touched the moon. The moon vanished. 30 seconds, 20. On the command deck, Elder Suman stood beside Bora. At 187 years old, she had lived a full life, seen wonders, raised children, tended gardens. Now she watched the world end with calm acceptance. Do you think we did the right thing? Suman asked. We did the human thing, Bora replied. We endured, and we made sure others could too. 10 seconds, Taehyun counted. 9, 8. Dr. Mina Choi, standing in the archive level, thought about all the history she had studied, all the species that had risen and fallen, all the civilizations that had faced their end with courage or cowardice. Humanity would be remembered. She was sure of that. 5, 4, 3. Ambassador Hyun, in the diplomatic quarters, recorded one last message for the evacuation ships. For the future, for whoever would listen, we are the enduring ones. Not because we cannot die, but because we refuse to let death be the end. We survived. You survived. Remember that. And when darkness comes again, stand at the edge and refuse to blink. 2, 1. Activation. Soul collapsed. Not into a black hole, into a loop. The anchor grabbed the fabric of space-time and folded it back on itself. The entity, drawn by the massive gravitational distortion, surged forward. Hungry, eager, and the trap snapped shut. For exactly 72 seconds, Earth and the entity occupied the same space. Reality screamed. Then space-time folded and the entity found itself caught in an infinite loop, experiencing its own consumption forever, trapped in a prison of collapsed physics. Reality snapped back. Sol was gone. Earth was gone. Everything within 10 million kilometers was gone. But the trap held. The entity was contained. Across the galaxy, the darkness stopped spreading. Stars stopped disappearing. Species that had fled began to slow, checking their sensors. The threat was over. On a generation ship 40,000 light-years away, Jiwon Nam stood at an observation window with her daughter. They watched a yellow sun rise over an alien horizon. The ship had landed on a habitable world. Time to start again. What should we call it? Her daughter asked. New Earth, Jiwon said, then paused. No, New Hope. This is where we build something better. Humans and aliens together. Around them, the settlement was already taking shape. Trell working alongside humans to clear land. Vex Thari fragments helping design buildings. Species that had tried to kill each other months ago now shared meals and stories. A young boy named Youngjae planted a seed in the alien soil. It was from an earth cherry tree, one of the last. Elder Suman had given it to him before the evacuation, making him promise to plant it somewhere safe. Will it grow? Youngjae asked his teacher. We'll see, the teacher said. Sometimes things grow where they're not supposed to. That's what being human means, growing anyway. In the settlement's archive building, a computer activated automatically. A message timed to open after the successful containment of the entity. It was from the original Enduring Ones recorded 50,000 years ago. Ambassador Hyun, who had survived the evacuation, read it aloud to the gathering crowd. If you are reading this, you survived. You protected the galaxy. You were willing to sacrifice yourselves so others might live. This is what it means to be us. This is what it means to be the Enduring Ones. The entity will break free in approximately 50,000 years. You have time, prepare, spread further, build weapons, teach the galaxy what we learned, and when the time comes, do what we did. Endure, protect, and pass the torch. Someone must always stand at the edge of the darkness and refuse to blink. Let it be us. Again and again, forever. Yen closed the message. Around him, humans and aliens stood in silence. They had lost Earth, lost Sol, lost billions of people, but they had survived. And they had saved the galaxy. 50,000 years, someone said. That's a long time. Then we'd better get started, Ji-hoon Park said. He had survived too, commanding one of the evacuation ships. We have a lot to teach, a lot to prepare, and a lot of children to raise who will need to know what their ancestors did. Youngjae looked up at the adults. Will we have to do it too? Fight the entity when it comes back? Hyun knelt down to the child's level. Maybe your children. Or their children. But we'll be ready, because we're the enduring ones. We face the darkness and refuse to quit. Even when we're scared? Youngjae asked. Especially when we're scared, Hyun said. That's when it matters most. Above them, the new sun set. Stars emerged in the alien sky. Different constellations, different worlds, but the same stubborn determination. The galaxy had learned Earth's true name. They had learned what the enduring ones meant. Not a threat, not a weapon, but a promise. A promise that no matter how dark things got, no matter how impossible the odds, someone would stand at the edge and fight. Someone would refuse to accept extinction as final. Someone would endure. And if the galaxy was lucky, they would learn to be more like that too. Terror had silenced the galaxy when they learned the truth. But from that silence grew something else. Hope. The knowledge that when darkness came, the descendants of Earth would be there. Enduring. Always enduring. The end. Captain Ji-hoon Park's ship emerged from jump space at the edge of the galaxy. What he saw there would haunt him forever. It wasn't empty. Empty would have been better. This was wrong. Space itself had holes in it, like reality was rotting away. Get readings on everything, he ordered his science officer. I need to know what we're looking at. The data came back wrong. Physics wasn't working correctly in those regions. Time moved at different speeds. Light bent in impossible directions. Matter existed and didn't exist simultaneously. It's not an invasion, his science officer said, voice shaking. It's digestion. Something is eating the universe. Back on Earth, young scientist Tae-hyun Yoon analyzed the data Ji-hoon sent. He worked for 72 hours straight, barely sleeping, living on coffee and fear. When he finally understood what he was seeing, he wished he hadn't. He called an emergency meeting with Admiral Bora and the Earth Defense Council. It's not attacking, Tae-hyun explained, pointing at the holographic display. It's feeding. It consumes matter, energy, and information itself. Where it passes, physics breaks down. Reality becomes fluid. Eventually, nothing remains but these holes in space. Then can we fight it? Bora asked. How do you fight something that exists partially outside our dimensions? It's like trying to punch a hole. You can't hurt what isn't really there. Admiral Bora studied the data silently. Around her, military leaders from Earth and the arriving refugee fleets waited for her response. Some of these aliens had tried to exterminate humanity months ago. Now they were here, desperate and broken, begging for help. Get me the silent witness, Bora said finally. If anyone knows about this thing, it's the Luminarchs. The silent witness appeared in the chamber, its light form dimmed with age and sorrow. It had not spoken for 10,000 years before the crisis began. Now it spoke regularly, and each word seemed to cost it something precious. You want the truth, it said. Very well. 50,000 years ago we encountered it. The entity, we the Luminarchs, were explorers then. Curious, brave. We found it in the space between galaxies, feeding on dark matter. We tried to communicate. It responded by consuming 7 of our worlds. We fled, we warned others. The enduring ones were the only species that listened. They studied it. They learned its patterns. They discovered it existed in multiple dimensions simultaneously. In our space, it was a predator. In its own space, it was something else, something we couldn't comprehend. They found only one way to stop it. A trap using massive gravitational forces to collapse a section of space-time into a loop. The entity would be caught in infinite recursion, experiencing its own consumption eternally. The silent witness's light flickered, but the trap required a sacrifice. A yellow star, a habitable planet, an entire species willing to stand at ground zero while reality tore apart around them. The enduring ones volunteered, Elder Suman said quietly from the back of the chamber. She had arrived from the agricultural colonies, still wearing dirt-stained clothes from her garden. At 187 years old, she moved slowly, but her mind was sharp. They knew it meant their extinction. So they sent out their genetic seeds first. Yes, the silent witness confirmed. They scattered themselves across the cosmos, hoping their descendants might return when the trap failed. Because they knew it would fail. They calculated 50,000 years. And now we're here, Bora said. Right on schedule. Across the galaxy, panic spread. The coalition that had united to destroy humanity fell apart. The Trell Empire recalled its fleets to defend their core worlds. The Vexithari tried to negotiate with the entity. Their entire civilization vanished in 2.7 seconds. Other species simply fled, their ships jumping blindly toward any empty space they could find. Earth received thousands of distress calls. Pleas for help, accusations, curses. And then from Archon Velthrus's successor, a simple message: help us, please. In the Defense Council chamber, the debate was fierce. Captain Sun Hee-an, commander of Earth's Third Fleet, stood and shouted over the noise. Why should we help them? They tried to exterminate us 6 months ago. They burned our colonies, killed millions of us. Let them face the thing they've been running from for 50,000 years. Others agreed. The room filled with angry voices. They had lost so much, suffered so much. The aliens deserved what was coming. Then Elder Suman stood. The room fell silent. Everyone knew her story. She had survived the colony wars, the first contact incidents, and 3 separate extinction attempts. She was old enough to remember when humanity was still alone in the universe. "I've seen humans at their worst," she said quietly. "I've seen us fight over nothing, kill each other over resources and beliefs and ancient grudges. I've seen us be petty and cruel and stupid, but I've also seen us at our best. And at our best, we don't survive just for ourselves. We survive so someone does, even if we hate them, even if they tried to kill us, because that's what it means to be the enduring ones. We don't endure because we're strong. We endure because we're too stubborn to let death be the end of everything. And if we let the galaxy die while we watch, then we're not the enduring ones. We're just survivors. And that's not good enough." Captain Sunhee closed her eyes, took a deep breath. When she spoke again, her voice was steady. "Send out the message. All species. Come to Sol, we'll make room." Millions refused. They fled deeper into the galaxy, hoping to find somewhere the entity couldn't reach. But millions more, desperate and terrified, turned their ships toward Earth. The Sol system transformed. Ships from 800 species crowded into stable orbits. Earth's moon became a refugee camp. Mars housed the Trell survivors. Jupiter's moons filled with Vexithari fragments. The asteroid belt became a city. And in the laboratories deep under Earth's surface, Taehyun and his team of human and alien scientists studied the data from the archive. The ancient research the Enduring Ones had done. The calculations for the trap. "It's possible," Taehyun said, presenting his findings to the combined command structure. "We can rebuild the trap, but it requires everything the original did." He pulled up the specifications. "A yellow star, check. We have Sol, a planet in the habitable zone at the exact gravitational point, check. We have Earth, and a species, willing to stand at ground zero while reality tears itself apart." The room fell silent. Everyone understood what he was saying. "How long do we have?" Bora asked. "The entity will reach Earth in 14 months. We need at least 12 months to build the device and evacuate everyone we can. That gives us 2 months of margin." "Then we'd better get started," Bora said. Across the Sol system, the largest construction project in galactic history began. Using technology from 100 species, combining knowledge from civilizations that had hated each other for millennia, humans and aliens worked side by side. They built the anchor. A quantum gravity weapon that would collapse spacetime into a stable loop. It would trap the entity the same way the ancient Enduring Ones had trapped its sibling, and it would destroy Earth in the process. As construction continued, Admiral Bora coordinated the evacuation. 60 billion beings, humans and aliens, children first, scientists, artists, teachers, the young who would carry their species forward. "Who's staying?" someone asked. Bora looked around the command center. Ji-hoon volunteered immediately. So did Mina. Daiho revealed he was 89 years old and wasn't going anywhere. Elder Suman laughed when they suggested she leave. Taehyun would need to stay to operate the anchor, and Captain Sunhee requested permission to lead the defense fleet that would keep the entity occupied while the anchor charged. "We'll need every second," she said. "My fleet will buy you those seconds." Outside, the darkness continued its advance. Stars disappeared. Worlds vanished. The entity was coming, and at the center of the Sol system, Earth waited. The descendants of the Enduring Ones prepared to do what their ancestors had done 50,000 years before. Stand at the edge of the darkness and refuse to blink. One last time. Admiral Borakang watched 12 colony worlds burn. The tactical display showed red icons spreading across the screen like a disease. Each icon represented millions of dead. She should have felt something. Grief, rage, despair. Instead, she felt calculating coldness settle over her mind. "New Sol has been hit," her tactical officer reported. "Orbital bombardment. 90% casualties. Pull back the 4th Fleet," Bora ordered. "Regroup at the asteroid belt. Admiral, if we retreat, there's nothing between the Coalition and Earth." "I know," Bora said calmly. "Do it anyway." 6 months had passed since the galaxy declared war on humanity. 6 months of running, dying, and losing. The Coalition's fleets outnumbered Earth's forces 40 to 1. Their technology was more advanced. Their weapons more powerful. By every logical measure, humanity should have been extinct within weeks. But they weren't. On the bridge of her flagship, the Eternal Dawn, Bora studied the battle reports with grim satisfaction. Yes, they were losing, but they were losing in exactly the right way. Status on the new Seoul evacuation? She asked. 4 million residents made it to the belt before bombardment began. Her communications officer replied. They've set up temporary facilities in 3 asteroid clusters. They're already building manufacturing centers. Bora allowed herself a small smile. Good, what about the Mars shipyards? Destroyed by Vexthari crystal weapons, but the survivors relocated the manufacturing to Jupiter's radiation belt. The Coalition can't operate there. Their ships can't handle the radiation levels. And the bioweapon the Trell deployed on Proxima Colony. Quarantine successful. 200,000 infected isolated. 1 million uninfected evacuated to Centauri Station. The infected are still running the mining operations remotely. Production is down 30%, but operational. This was the pattern. Every defeat spread humanity further. Every loss taught them something new. Every colony that fell scattered its population like seeds on the wind. The Coalition was winning battles, but they weren't achieving extinction. And that was driving them insane with frustration. Across the void, on a captured human supply ship, a young Vexthari pilot named Kresh was discovering why. She had expected to find military cargo, weapons, ammunition, soldiers. Instead, she found families. Children played in the corridors under soft lights. Old people sat in common areas talking quietly. In one section, a school was operating. In another, a workshop where people built tools and repaired equipment. There was even a small garden, plants growing under artificial sunlight. This is a warship? Kresh asked her second-in-command. According to their registry, it's a supply vessel. But look at the cargo manifest. Kresh studied the data. Food, medicine, seeds, manufacturing equipment, cultural artifacts, books, music, art. They're not running away. They're migrating. What's the difference? Running means panic. Migration means planning. Kresh accessed the ship's database. What she found made her crystalline structure resonate with something she didn't want to name. Fear. The database was full of human entertainment, stories, films, games, thousands of scenarios where humanity faced extinction and fought back. Zombie apocalypses, alien invasions, robot uprisings, nuclear wars, asteroid impacts, cosmic horrors, plague outbreaks, every possible way humanity could end imagined in detail. And in every single story, humans survived. Or tried to. Or died fighting. Or left something behind to continue. They've been practicing this, Kresh whispered. For centuries, they've been imagining the end of their world and figuring out how to survive it. Over and over. For fun. She opened a communication channel to the Coalition command. We have a problem. The humans aren't fighting to win. They're fighting to persist. We can kill them, but we can't make them stop existing. On New Seoul's ruined surface, Jiwon Nam stood in the crater where her home had been. She was an architect, not a soldier. She had designed buildings, not bunkers. But the Coalition had turned her beautiful city into ash, and something in her had changed. Around her, thousands of survivors were digging. Not graves, tunnels, how deep? Someone asked. 5 kilometers, Jiwon said, straight into the mantle. If they want this planet, they'll have to dig us out piece by piece. We can't win down there. Winning isn't the point, Jiwon replied. Existing is the point. We exist underground. We exist in asteroids. We exist in ships. We exist in hiding. We exist in the open. We exist wherever they aren't looking. That's how we win, by refusing to completely die. Above them, Coalition dropships landed. Occupation forces deployed, expecting to find scattered refugees. Instead, they found a planet-wide resistance network. The humans weren't gone. They had just gone deeper. Meanwhile, millions of light-years away, Ambassador Hyun and Dr. Mina Choi sat in the cargo hold of a smuggler's ship, searching through the data they had stolen from the archive. The smuggler, a blob-like creature from a species nobody remembered the name of, didn't ask questions. It just wanted payment. Found something, Mina said, her tablet screen glowing in the dim light. The ancient Enduring One sent a message before they activated their trap. A warning to the rest of the galaxy. What did it say? Mina read slowly. We know you fear us. We know you don't trust what we've become, but we're not your enemy. We tried to warn you. What's coming? What we're trapping, it's not the only one. It's just the first. There are more. And when they arrive, the galaxy will need species too stubborn to quit, too determined to die, We hope you understand before it's too late. Hyun leaned back against the cold metal wall. They tried to warn the galaxy that the entity wasn't alone, that there were others, and the galaxy responded by erasing them, which means the galaxy forgot the warning, forgot the research, forgot everything the enduring ones learned about how to fight these things. Except we're here, Hyun said. We carry their DNA, their instincts. Maybe we carry their knowledge too, buried somewhere in our genetic memory. At Proxima Station, Admiral Bora's flagship was dying. Coalition forces had surrounded them. The Eternal Dawn's shields were failing. Hull breaches on 12 decks. Life support compromised. By every measure, this was the end. Bora opened a channel to all Coalition frequencies. Her face appeared on 10,000 screens across the battlefield. You wanted to exterminate us because you feared we couldn't be killed, she said calmly, even as explosions rocked her ship. You were right to be afraid. But you were afraid of the wrong thing. We never wanted to fight you. Our ancestors tried to warn you about what was coming. You erased them for their trouble. Now it's here, and you've wasted 50,000 years and countless lives trying to kill the only species that knows how to fight it. You should have listened to the enduring ones. You should have prepared. Instead, you chose genocide and amnesia. Behind the Coalition fleet's sensor alarms began screaming. Space itself was tearing. The darkness they had seen spreading across the galaxy had reached the battle zone. It wasn't just darkness. It was absence. Absence of matter. Absence of energy. Absence of existence itself. What's coming won't negotiate, Bora continued. It won't accept surrender. It will consume everything. Your worlds. Your people. Your entire civilizations. And when it's done, there will be nothing left but empty space where you used to be. The entity emerged from the tear in space. It wasn't a creature. It was a concept made real. The end of things given form. Stars near it simply stopped existing. Ships vanished. Planets dissolved into probability clouds. You have one choice, Bora said. Keep trying to kill us and die alone. Or run to Earth and we'll teach you what the enduring ones learned 50,000 years ago. How to look at extinction and say, not today. The Coalition fleets broke formation. Some ran deeper into the galaxy, some desperate and terrified, turned toward Earth, and some too proud or too afraid, stayed to fight the entity. Those ships lasted less than 3 minutes. Bora's ship limped away from the battlefield, trailing atmosphere and debris. But it moved. It persisted. It endured. Behind them, the entity continued its advance. It was coming for Earth. Coming for the descendants of the species that had trapped its sibling 50,000 years ago. This time, the enduring ones would be ready, or they would die trying, which, as Bora reflected, was the most human thing imaginable. The deep archive existed in a place that wasn't quite real. Elder Suman Lee felt her stomach twist as the transport vessel pushed through layers of folded space. At 187 years old, she had seen many strange things, but this was different. This felt wrong, like walking through a door that shouldn't exist. I retired for a reason, she muttered to herself. I was growing vegetables. Nice, quiet vegetables that don't scream ancient cosmic secrets at me. Beside her, Ambassador Hyun looked pale. He hadn't spoken since the council guards had escorted them from the chamber 3 hours ago. Mina kept checking her tablet, but the screens showed only static. Whatever space they were moving through didn't play well with normal physics. Why did they bring you? Ji-hun asked Suman. No offense, but you've been retired for 20 years. Because I'm the oldest human historian alive, Suman said. And apparently the council thinks I might know something about a species that died 50,000 years before humans existed. Which is insane, but here we are. The vessel stopped. The door opened into a chamber that made the council hall look small. Walls stretched upward forever, covered in symbols that hurt to look at. In the center of the room, a sphere of light pulsed with colors that had no names. Welcome to the Deep Archive, a voice said. It came from everywhere and nowhere. This is the memory of the galaxy. Only the eldest species may enter. Until today. The Vexthari leader Archon Velthris materialized beside them. Its crystalline body showed cracks that leaked rainbow light. We had no choice, it said, its voice brittle with fear. When you spoke your name, the archive's locks opened automatically. It recognized you. That's impossible, Mina said. We've never been here before. No, said another voice. But your ancestors were. The silent witness emerged from the shadows. It was a luminarch, a being of pure light and electromagnetic force. This one was ancient, older than civilizations. It had not spoken in 10,000 years, according to the records. Now it spoke in pulses of light that the translation systems barely managed to convert to sound. "Watch," it said. "Learn. And understand why the galaxy fears your name." The sphere in the center of the room expanded, filling the chamber with images. A planet appeared orbiting a yellow star. It looked almost exactly like Earth: green continents, blue oceans, white clouds. 50,000 years ago, in a galaxy we no longer visit, a species emerged. The archive's voice explained. They called themselves by names that mean the people and the enduring ones in their languages. They were curious, peaceful, determined. The images showed cities rising, ships launching into space, first contact with alien species, trade, friendship, growth. They spread across their galaxy quickly, the voice continued. Too quickly for some. But they were not conquerors. They were explorers, builders, teachers. So what happened? Hyun asked. The image changed. Darkness appeared at the edge of the galaxy. Not empty space. Something else. Something that made the darkness look bright by comparison. An entity entered their space. We have no true name for it. It exists partially outside normal dimensions. It consumes matter, energy, and information itself. It eats reality. The images showed worlds disappearing, stars winking out, entire civilizations vanishing as if they had never existed. The entity spread like a plague, unstoppable and insatiable. The enduring ones were the first to encounter it, the archive said, and they did what their name promised. They endured. They studied it. They developed weapons. They organized resistance across hundreds of species. The images showed battles, ships fighting against holes in space, weapons that bent physics being deployed, desperate last stands on dying worlds. But the entity was too strong, Suman whispered, understanding flooding through her. Yes, the silent witness said. The enduring ones could not kill it. But they discovered something else. A way to trap it, using massive gravitational forces in a specific configuration. It required precise mathematics and enormous sacrifice. The images showed scientists working frantically, ships being built in secret, a plan taking shape. The trap needed a yellow star, a habitable planet, and a species willing to stand at the center while reality tore itself apart, the archive explained. The enduring ones knew it would mean their extinction, so they prepared. The images showed thousands of small capsules being launched into deep space. Each one contained genetic material, cultural data, survival instincts encoded into DNA itself. They sent seeds, Mina said, her voice barely audible. They sent backup copies of themselves into the void. Yes, the archive confirmed. Then they built their trap. They stood at the center. They held the line while every other species fled. And they succeeded. The images showed a star collapsing, space folding, the entity being pulled into an impossible gravitational well, then silence. Stillness. The threat was contained. But the other species of that era were not grateful. The silent witness said, anger crackling through its light. They were terrified. They had watched the enduring ones face extinction and refused to stop fighting. They had seen a species turn their own sun into a weapon. They had witnessed a civilization that treated death as merely an obstacle to work around. Daeho, who had been silent until now, spoke quietly. They decided the enduring ones were too dangerous to let exist. Correct, the archive said. The images showed fleets gathering, weapons being prepared. The elder races of that time made a choice. They hunted down every remaining trace of the enduring ones, every colony, every ship, every record. They collapsed that entire spiral arm of the galaxy to ensure nothing remained. They committed genocide, Hyun said, his voice shaking with rage. The enduring ones saved them and they responded with extinction. They were afraid, Archon Velthrus said quietly. Afraid of a species that couldn't be permanently killed. Afraid of beings who would sacrifice everything and still find a way to survive. Afraid of what else such a species might do if they decided other civilizations were threats. Suman stepped forward, staring at the images. But the seeds survived. The genetic capsules drifted through space for millennia until one found Earth. Yes, the archive said. You are not similar to the enduring ones. You are the enduring ones. You carry their DNA, their cultural instincts, their refusal to accept extinction. Even your languages echo theirs across 50,000 years of separation. The sphere collapsed back to its normal size. The chamber felt cold suddenly. And now we have awakened you, the silent witness said. By demanding your true name, we have connected you to the old records. We have announced to the universe that the enduring ones have returned. Why does that matter? Ji-hoon demanded. The threat was trapped. You said the entity was contained. The Archon's crystal body cracked further. The trap was designed to hold for 50,000 years, long enough for the enduring ones to regroup, to rebuild, to prepare for when it would inevitably break free. Suman felt her blood turn to ice. What's today's date in Galactic Standard Time? The archive's voice was barely a whisper. 50,000 years, 2 months, and 17 days since the entity was trapped. Outside the archive, alarms began to sound. On every screen, the same image appeared. Stars disappearing across 200 light-years of space. The darkness spreading, growing, accelerating. The trap is failing, Mina said. And the galaxy just spent the last 50,000 years erasing everyone who knew how to fight it. Not everyone, Daeho said grimly. The enduring ones are still here. We just didn't know we were supposed to be preparing. Across the galaxy, 37 species simultaneously declared war on humanity. They remembered now. They remembered why the name must never be spoken. Because speaking it meant admitting the ancient threat had returned. And if the enduring ones were back, it meant the entity was coming. Terror silenced the galaxy. Not fear of humanity. Fear of what humanity's existence meant was about to arrive. The countdown had begun. The stars looked different from the council chamber. Captain Ji-hoon Park stood at the observation window, watching the neutron star pulse with blue-white light. Behind him, Ambassador Hyun Kim adjusted his formal uniform for the 10th time. They were nervous, and they had every right to be. Stop fidgeting, Ji-hoon said without turning around. You look fine. Easy for you to say, Hyun replied. You just fly the ship. I have to talk to 800 alien species and convince them we're not a threat. Dr. Mina Choi looked up from her tablet, her dark eyes reflecting the screen's glow. Technically 847 species, and most of them already think we're too aggressive. The Trell have been complaining about our expansion rate for months, Hyun groaned. We settled 6 new worlds. 6. The Trell Empire has 12,000 planets. Yes, but they took 3 million years to get them, Mina said. We've been in space for less than 600 years. That makes them nervous. Lieutenant Daeho Shin stood by the door, his hand resting casually near his weapon. He was older than he looked, with scars that told stories he never shared. The council is ready for you, Ambassador. Try not to start a war in our first formal session. Hyun straightened his jacket one last time and walked toward the massive doors. They opened silently, revealing a chamber so vast it seemed to contain its own atmosphere. Thousands of aliens filled the circular stadium. Some looked almost human. Others were clouds of gas or crystals or things that hurt to look at directly. The council's voice boomed from everywhere at once. Ambassador Hyun Kim of Earth stepped forward. Hyun walked to the center platform, feeling very small and very alone. Above him, holographic displays showed Earth, its blue oceans and white clouds rotating slowly. It looked peaceful, beautiful, home. The Galactic Council recognizes humanity's petition for continued membership, the voice said. However, several elder races have raised concerns about your species' behavior. A massive creature made entirely of crystal floated forward. This was a Vexithari, one of the oldest species in the galaxy. Its voice sounded like breaking glass. Humanity expands too quickly. You colonize aggressively. You ignore the boundaries of cultural development with younger species. Hyun kept his voice calm. We have followed every law, every treaty. We have respected all territorial boundaries and development protocols. The letter of the law, perhaps, another voice said. This one came from a being of pure light, a luminarch, but not the spirit. You push, you test limits. You act as if the galaxy belongs to you. We're explorers, Hyun said. It's our nature to push forward, to see what's beyond the next star. But we've never broken your laws. The Trell Adjudicator descended from the upper levels. It was ancient beyond measure, a being that had existed before humans discovered fire. Its form shifted constantly, never quite solid. Laws are for young species who do not yet understand themselves. We of the elder races judge by deeper truths. We judge by names. Mina, watching from the visitors' gallery, felt her stomach tighten. She whispered into her communicator. Hyun, be careful. In galactic culture, names have power. They're asking for something specific. The adjudicator's voice filled the chamber. Every species has a true name. The name they call themselves when they are alone, when they face the darkness, when they speak to their gods or their children. This name reveals what they are at their core. We demand that humanity submit its true name for judgment. Hyun relaxed slightly. This was easy. We are humans. We come from Earth in the Sol system. Our species name is Homo sapiens, which means wise man in our ancient languages. No, the adjudicator said, and something in its tone made the entire chamber fall silent. These are external labels, scientific classifications. We ask for the name you call yourselves in your hearts, the name that carries your spirit. Mina's fingers flew across her tablet, pulling up linguistic databases. She saw it immediately and felt cold. She opened the private channel. Hyun, they want the cultural self-designation. In Korean, it's Saram. In Chinese, it's Ren. In Sanskrit, Manusya. They all mean the same thing. Hyun nodded slowly. He understood now. We call ourselves many names across our languages, but they all translate to the same concept. We are Saram, we are the people. And in your oldest tongues? The adjudicator pressed. What did your ancestors call themselves when they first learned to speak? Mina checked her database again. Her hands were shaking. The ancient Korean term is Ingan. It means the enduring ones, the ones who persist. Hyun spoke clearly, his voice carrying through the chamber. In our oldest languages, we are Ingan, the enduring ones, those who continue despite hardship. For exactly 5 seconds, nothing happened. Then chaos erupted. Aliens across the chamber began shouting in languages that translation systems couldn't keep up with. Several species delegations got up and left immediately. Others began accessing databases frantically. The Vexthari adjudicator's crystalline body developed visible cracks. Impossible, it said. That name was erased. That species was eliminated. The records were destroyed. Ji-hoon grabbed Mina's arm in the gallery. What's happening? I don't know, Mina said, but she was lying. She could see the database results appearing on her screen. Historical files that should have been buried were suddenly accessible. Files that were 50,000 years old. Files that mentioned a species with names that translated exactly to humanity's self-designations. Files that explained why that species was exterminated. Daiho appeared beside them, his expression grim. We need to leave, now. We can't just leave, Ji-hoon said. Hyun is still down there. The council knows what I know, Daiho said quietly. I'm not just security. I'm with Earth's Historical Preservation Bureau. I've been tracking this for years. The translation matrix just connected our name to something in the deep archive, something the council buried 50,000 years ago. What are you talking about? Mina demanded. On the main floor, the adjudicator raised one shifting appendage. Silence fell immediately. This session is suspended. The human delegation will remain in the council's custody pending investigation. All representatives of Earth are confined to this station until the elder races convene. On what grounds? Hyun shouted. On the grounds that your species may be the return of an enemy we believed extinct. On the grounds that your very existence violates the most fundamental law of the galaxy. On the grounds that your name carries a curse 50 millennia old. The chamber's lights dimmed. On every screen, star charts began updating automatically. Distant stars were disappearing from the sensors. Not dimming, not dying naturally, simply vanishing as if something was erasing them from existence. Daiho pulled Mina and Ji-hoon toward the exit. We need to get back to the ship. Whatever's happening, it's responding to the name. Something heard Hyun speak it, and it's waking up. What's waking up? Ji-hoon demanded. The reason the galaxy erased the enduring ones in the first place, Daiho said. And we just rang the dinner bell. On the view screens, more stars winked out. The darkness was spreading. A wave of nothing expanding across the galaxy at impossible speeds. And somewhere in that darkness, something vast and hungry was moving. The council had learned Earth's true name. They had learned that humanity was the echo of a species they thought they had killed. And now, terror silenced the galaxy. Because they realized they had made a terrible mistake 50,000 years ago. They hadn't killed the enduring ones to protect the galaxy from them. They had killed them to hide from something else, something that the enduring ones had been preparing to fight. And by erasing them, the galaxy had forgotten what was coming. Until now.